Okay, we're in the Fight Club. How many of you have ever been to Stuffy's for breakfast in Longview? No? No? My friend Brennan Shipley at the school, I was telling her how I like cinnamon rolls, and she goes, "Oh, you need to go to Stuffy's." So Stuffy's is kind of this, has really cool inside and everything. So I take Tammy up for her birthday a couple weeks ago. And at Stuffy's, on your birthday, you get a free cinnamon roll. And when I say free cinnamon roll, most of the time, not always, most of the time, cinnamon rolls are literally the size of a cake. Yeah, I was like, whoa, oh. So, I mean, Tammy and I are sitting there, and she has her birthday hat on, and they're like, "Hey, happy birthday," and singing their song to somebody, and they come out with this big old box and this big old cinnamon roll on it like this. I mean, it was monstrous.
Feed a family.
Feed a family twice. It was huge. Tammy and I are like looking forward to the cinnamon roll. They come and take our order, and Tammy says, "It's my birthday." I was like, "Oh, okay, well, we're out of cinnamon rolls." We drove all the way up to Longview for one of your cinnamon rolls, right? They said, "Well, we have the mini one." The mini one was still, I mean, it was a large cupcake or bigger. I mean, it was still that big and that thick, but not like the big one, right? We had a choice in that moment. Tammy and I had a choice. Now, because it was smaller, because it was her birthday, she got to eat that whole cinnamon roll. I didn't get any.
Oh.
I offered to share.
He did. She did.
You chose not to.
And I chose not to because it was her birthday. But isn't that the choice that we often have? So the issue is, even before that point, but even in the restaurant, I look at what somebody else, we could look at what somebody else has and be envious of it, or we can be content with what we have. So this is kind of a weird thing for me to think that the Fight Club is envy versus joy. Envy versus joy. I was like, envy versus joy, that's kind of at first I thought, well, maybe it should be envy versus sorrow, or joy versus sorrow, it should be joy versus sorrow, and I was like, oh. And as I was resourcing this, I'm thinking, joy versus sorrow, but then I thought, sorrow is not necessarily a bad thing. There are lots of things that we can be sorrowful in a good way. Sorrow when somebody passes, sorrow when we lose something, sorrow is more when we lose something. Envy is saying, I want what they have. So we're going to look at envy versus joy. Defining envy. Envy is obsessing over what you want instead of enjoying what you have. Or obsessing over what you lack is a better way to put it. Obsessing over what you lack instead of enjoying. Joy is being grateful and content no matter what. And when you start to study the scriptures and you start to look at the biblical definition of joy, it's not just about happiness, it's about contentment. Contentment is based on what you have and enjoying what you have. So envy, some other words for envy are comparing, coveting, resenting, wanting, wishing. And how many times have we wanted something because somebody else has it? Ever heard this phrase? Keeping up with
Joneses.
Anybody here last name Jones? I'm not keeping up with you, I promise. If your last name is Jones, I want to know, how blessed are you really? But that phrase comes from seeing everybody in your neighborhood and saying, oh, well, they got a new car. I need a new car. They got a new house. They added on to their house. They did whatever. And so it's this trying to keep up, trying to say, well, I want what they have because they have something good. Whether it be a material thing, or whether it be a position, or whether it be a relationship, or it could be anything. I want what they have creates envy. Now here's the truth about envy. Now James 3, it's on your sheets. This is a fascinating verse. For where there is envy and selfish ambition, there is disorder and every evil practice. That's a strong word. Where there is envy and selfish ambition, there is every, not some, not a few, but every evil practice. Oh, no wonder it's one of the 7 deadly sins. Let's look at the very first sin in the Bible. What was it? It was envy and focusing on lack. Notice, by the way, you want to know a trick of Satan? Here's a trick from Satan. He's going to turn what God has provided for you and turn it into lack.
Yeah.
Look what he does to Adam and Eve. Did God really tell you that you couldn't eat of any tree of the garden? Whoa, no. God said, eat. There are thousands and thousands of different types of trees. Adam and Eve could eat out of any cotton picking one of them. They could have had the best stuff. They could have the best tasting things. Whatever they named it, they could have had it all except for the fruit of one tree. So rather than focusing on God's surplus and God's provision and God's generosity and God's powerful, I get generosity. I just can't come up with a better word right now because it's so amazing. It's so good. God had given them thousands of trees to eat from. And Satan says, God really said you couldn't eat from any tree? Notice that twist? So he immediately has now made them focus on their lack. So, but you can't eat from that tree? Well, that's crazy. So Satan is he's focusing on their lack. And what do Adam and Eve do? They become envious of God. And so don't you want to be just like God? If you eat of that tree, you'll be just like him. So notice how he's focused on the lack here. That's a eye-opening truth. When we focus on lack, we're sitting in Stuffies. We could have been focused on the lack of a big cinnamon roll rather than a little being content with what we have. But we do that in so many places. I don't have that church. I don't have that. Our church isn't full. Our church doesn't have this. Our church doesn't have that. I don't have that promotion. I don't have that position. I don't have that money. I don't have that car. I don't have that big house. I don't have. And by now you can get one more, right? And focusing on lack. See how crazy focusing on our lack creates this envy? And now it makes so much more sense that the root of all evil practice is an envy. Anybody else convicted yet? I know it's easy for us to focus on lack. But that's a trick from Satan, to focus on lack. And when we look at our lives and we say, I don't have that relationship. I don't have those kids. I don't have that. When we start focusing on our lack, it will create isolation, it will cause anger, it will cause judgment, it will cause everything else that we have been talking about. So, Here's the truth about envy. Envy consumes your attention and steals your joy. I gotta keep up with the Joneses. I gotta work hard so I can at least get what they have, and maybe even better. If I can get better than what they have, then yes, I'm awesome. And then they're gonna be envious of me. So if it consumes our attention, how do I get the next thing? How do I get the next phone? How do I get the next thing? How do I get the more money? How do I get a bigger house? How do I get? It consumes our attention. Especially when it's motivated to make ourselves look good or to make us feel better about ourselves. Envy keeps you from celebrating with others and eventually destroys your relationships. It keeps you from celebrating the good things that happen. Yesterday at the district baseball tournament, I had to watch River take on WF West. Truth be told, I don't like either school. River ends up winning the championship. WF West sulks off and goes off. They're still going to the state tournament, but they go over and sulk. They couldn't celebrate with the team that won. And people even comment, they're like, well, that was kind of bizarre. So envy keeps you from celebrating with others and eventually will destroy your relationships because your relationships become so focused on you and on your lack and on the things that you want rather than on what you have. Here's another truth about envy. Envying others is actually blaming God. Envying others is actually blaming God. God, you blessed them with great talent. How come I don't have that talent? God, you blessed them with great finances. How come you haven't blessed me with great finances? God, you blessed them this way or that way or whatever way. And the list goes on. You blessed that person to make them so beautiful. How come I don't have beauty? How come I'm not good looking? See how many different things we can be envious of? Envying others is actually blaming God and not blaming or not accepting and being grateful for what He's given you. James 4 says this, what is causing the quarrels and fights among you? Don't they come from the evil desires at war within you? You want what you don't have, so you scheme and kill to get it. You are jealous of what others have, but you can't get it, so you fight and wage war to take it away from them. So James is now saying envy is the root of all evil practice, is one of the roots of all evil practice, and then all of a sudden he talks about war, and talks about fighting, and he talks about quarreling, and he talks about all those things. So he's murder, and he's saying, see, and now you become angry. So what he's just illustrating his point. So let's talk about 4 ways to enjoy today. That's a key word for us. 4 ways to enjoy today. Because the temptation for us is to go, well, I want to have joy, and one day I'm going to have it. And when I get there, I'm gonna just, for some of you, it's when I retire, then I'm going to enjoy life. When all my kids are out of the house, I'm going to enjoy life. When I win the lottery, I'm going to enjoy life. No. That's going to cause and create and keep you in envy. When we place that conditional statement, when I do this, then I'll enjoy life. The reality is, God wants us to enjoy life right now, today. Here, in this place, to experience joy and to experience His presence and power. To experience not a conditional, but to have unconditional joy. So the first way, enjoy what you have. Number 1, enjoy what you have. Ecclesiastes Enjoy what you have rather than desiring what you don't have. Just dreaming about nice things is meaningless. It's like chasing after the wind. Enjoy what you have. It's funny how many of us think we're poor. Some of us may not think that we're poor, but compared to the rest of the world, we are. We're very rich. Compared to the rest of the world, we are very rich.
Yes.
Even if you live in poverty and are considered in the poverty world here, you're still making 10 times more than much of the world. So enjoying what you have. Ecclesiastes 3 says, "So I conclude there is nothing better than to be happy and enjoy ourselves as long as we can. And people should eat, drink, and enjoy the fruits of the labor, for these gifts are from God." So it's enjoying what you have and what God has already given you. Enjoying what you have. Tammy got to enjoy what she had. She got to enjoy a mini cinnamon roll. She didn't get frustrated or say, "Well, I didn't get the big one, I'm going to throw a fit." Right?
Can't see Tammy doing that, but yeah.
No, she wouldn't. She got to enjoy what she had.
That's right.
She got to enjoy what's there. And I didn't throw a fit when she didn't give me any, because I honestly wanted her to have it, because it was her birthday and it was her gift, and it was a gift for her. So I wanted her to enjoy it, and I wanted to celebrate her, and I wanted her to tell me how good it was. So I knew that it was worth the trip, right? Enjoying what you have. It doesn't matter how much you have if you don't enjoy what you've got. It doesn't matter how much food you have if you don't enjoy what you got. It doesn't matter how big of a house you have if you don't enjoy what you've got.
Right.
It doesn't matter how much you have if you don't enjoy what you've got. Second one. This one's going to shock you. Enjoy who you are.
Yeah.
Enjoy who God has made you to be. Enjoy the gifts that God has put into your life. Enjoy the ways you get to help and bless others.
That's right.
Not compare yourself. "Well, I don't have a voice like Jody.
Oh, thank you.
I don't have a voice like Chris."
Right.
Enjoy what you have. And the gifts that God has given you. That's why we read Psalms 139 earlier. "Thank you for making me so wonderfully complete and complex. Your workmanship is marvelous. How well I know it. How precious are your thoughts about me, God. They cannot be numbered." Boy, that would be a verse to memorize. How precious are your thoughts to me, O God. They can't even be numbered. Try waking up in the morning and saying that. How precious are your thoughts about me? I can't even number them, God. That should make you feel a little loved, right? I would hope it would. But so enjoy who you are, the gifts that God has created you, who God has made you to be, the person, the skills that you've acquired. Enjoy who God has made you to be. Now, I'm not saying don't learn, don't grow, don't get better, don't improve, don't improve your skills or whatever. That's all part of growing. That's all part of being a good steward. But I am saying, don't sit there and compare yourself to each other. Boy, I wish I was good as numbers as Don. No. Don's been gifted at being good at numbers. I'm not as gifted at that. I'm not as passionate about that. Like, Don's not sitting there going, "Boy, I wish I could preach like Ben." Very few people are saying that probably, but Don is living in the gifts that God has given him. God is wanting Don to enjoy who he is, to be grateful and to be content in who he is. So that's the second one. And it says, and so here's that line. If God wanted you to be like them, he would have made you that way. You guessed it?
I did.
Nice.
I even wrote it down smallly. I
Okay.
got it correct.
Nice. If God wanted you to be like them, he would have made you that way. Think about that. And then be grateful that the whole world is not like you or the other person. Be grateful that there's not 5 billion Nancys in this world. Be grateful that there's not 5 billion Shalises in this world. Because then our world would be pretty boring. And our world wouldn't be, we would not have what God has blessed us to be, individuals and in community. We'd be clones. Third thing, enjoy where you are.
Yes.
Rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I say it again, rejoice. I make you think of the Sunday school song?
Yep.
Rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I say rejoice.
Rejoice.
See, yeah. So rejoice where you are. We read that powerful passage in Matthew 5, and here's a different translation. Jesus said, "You are the light of the world, like a city on a hill that cannot be hidden. No one lights a lamp and then puts it under a basket. Instead, a lamp is placed." You could, if I think it's on your paper, circle that word "placed." It's placed on a stand. In order to be placed on a stand, what has to happen? Somebody has to place it there. God has placed you where you are. God has placed you where you are. That doesn't mean God won't move you or change you or call you someplace else. But if all you're doing is sitting and comparing, and you say, I just want the better place, the grass is greener on the other side, God has placed you where you are for the time, for this time right now. So enjoy it. Enjoy it. I'm having a blast working at the high school. I'm having a blast being here in Ridgefield. It doesn't mean God won't ever call me somewhere else. But I'm having a blast. It's pouring down rain. A week and a half ago at a track meet, I am hauling hurdles across the field. Somebody texts me and says, "You doing okay?" My Brendan Shipley she's just making sure everything's flowing well. And I'm like, amazing. I'm having a blast. Because God had placed me there. And God is placing me in this community. Just like He's placing you. He's placing you in your work, in your family. He has placed you to be a light. He's placed Cheryl at all the art shows. He has placed you where you are. So let's stop looking and saying the grass is greener on the other side. Let's enjoy today and not be envious. That's true for all of us. God has placed you in the relationship you have. You know I'm a Chiefs fan. You know I kind of follow this Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift thing. But the worst thing I can do is go, they have such a cool relationship. I want what they have. No, I don't really. God has placed me in the relationship I have. And I need to enjoy that relationship. God has placed you, moms, as the mom of your kid. God has placed you in your workplace. God has placed you in the position. God has placed you there. So let's enjoy what we have. I tell you, as I was preparing this, there were so many things that were going. Okay, God, yeah, I'm hearing you. I'm trying to hear you. But this is a message that's needed for me. And I know it's needed for everybody else. Here's the fourth thing. Enjoy what you do. Ecclesiastes 5 says, to enjoy your work and accept your lot in life, this is indeed a gift from God. Enjoy being at the school system. Enjoy being at Walmart. Enjoy being a truck driver. Enjoy being at the preschool. Enjoy being a student, a high school senior. Enjoy what you do. Not only as an occupation, but just in life. Enjoy how you get to help out at the church. And if you don't have a place to help out or want to help out, we'll find you a place. Enjoy what you do. Man, this could be so... If we were to enjoy all of these things, what we do, where we are, who we are, and what we have, could you imagine how much joy we would have in life? And how much less stress we would have? That's what I keep hearing and feeling. Galatians 6 says, pay careful attention to your own work, for then you will get the satisfaction of a job well done, and you won't need to compare yourself to anyone else. 1 Corinthians 10 says, whatever you do, do it all for the glory of God. It doesn't matter what you do. What matters is that you do it with joy. And if what you do right now is retirement, then enjoy retirement. If what you do is... the list goes on and on. Enjoy what you do. Maybe just one of these areas has spoken to you, and God has said, yeah, I'm inviting you to enjoy, to be grateful, to be content in what you do, and who you are, and what you have, and where you are. Maybe God has been speaking to you about just one of those things. I pray that you'll surrender it today. I think if I were to ask most of us on a scale of 1 to 10, do you enjoy life?
9.
A few of us might be 9.
7.5.
I wasn't really asking for everybody to give, but yes, 7.5 and point. Yeah, what would help you enjoy it just a little bit more? What would it look like for you to take that 9 to a 10? Take that 7.5 to a 8? Or wherever you are, you talk to most Americans and on how much they enjoy, my guess is that it's probably closer to a 5. Can you be grateful and content and enjoy and celebrate? So Jesus, I pray that you'll help us. God, there are so many places that we want to enjoy. We want to enjoy, both as individuals, as families, and even as a church. We're not here to compare ourselves to other churches or to other people. But you have made us who we are. So help us to enjoy that. Help us to enjoy what we do have. Help us to enjoy where we are. And who we are and what we're doing. And to battle and defeat the voice of envy. The voice that is part of every evil scheme. And so, God, we think through that book of Genesis and how many times envy was a part of it. Cain and Abel, Adam and Eve, Joseph's brothers, Lot and Abraham. And the list goes on and on. So help us to defeat envy. And to not listen to the lie of Satan that focuses on our lack rather than what you have given us and blessed us with. And so for what you have given us and blessed us with God, we say thanks. We are grateful. Help us to be good stewards of that. In Jesus' name we pray.